Oh, all right. Okay, it says I have 22 minutes left. I don't know what that means. Does that mean I have to get rid of some of the videos? Anyways, I think I look pretty good for me. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm handsome or anything, but here I am. I'm 67 years old. I got a haircut. I don't look like Noam Chomsky anymore. Who wants to look like Noam Chomsky now? Oh, I'm so disappointed. I really like Noam. I thought Noam was a mensch. And then I open the page and what do I read? He's friends with Jeffrey Epstein. Not only is he friends with him, he's giving him advice on how to discredit those poor women that were molested. Hysteria? He called it hysteria. He called it a witch trial. Excuse me, if you're out raping 12-year-old girls, I'm sorry. I don't mean to be barbaric, but you deserve to be burned at the stake. There's no crime, not even murder, that was worse than what Jeffrey Epstein was doing. And anybody that even knew about it, I mean, it's bad enough that you know about, say you live next to a brothel or a crack house, you know. Actually, there was one down the street, and my roommate was like, go get your rifle. I'm like, Peter, that's not why I have it. It's to keep the drug dealers out. I said, it's the police's job. I was scared of him. He says, we're gonna go down there and close it down. And I'm like, why don't we mind our own business? We're gonna end up like that there was some brave black lady in the neighborhood, African American lady. She was a church lady. They burned down her church. I won't even tell you what they did to this poor old woman. She was so brave. She tried to shut down this crack house, and she was unalive, but she did not die. She died a martyr's death. What you could do to you? How could you do that to your own person? It's like doing it to your own grandmother. How could they do this? Anyways, I felt it scared me, and I had a semi-automatic AK-47 sitting in the corner, and I was terrified of these drug dealers. I says, you know what? As long as they don't come in this house, if you want to cooperate with the police quietly, that's one thing. But we're not going down the street and throw rocks at the crack house. We're just not going to do it. And I talked them into it. I said, well, you've got that gun. You're a big fat white person. I said, one, don't go telling people I've got guns. They'll break in and try to take them. I don't have them, by the way. I don't do that anymore. But I lived in a rough neighborhood, okay? I want you to understand why. Why? Oh my God, the projects, you and the automatic gunfire, you wouldn't believe the crazy things that went on in this neighborhood during the crack epidemic. This is like between what, the late 80s to like the late 90s. Insane shit went on. It was the Fillmore near Hazen Laguna. To my disservice, but I mean, I guess that's why people didn't say anything about Jeffrey Epstein. I had an automatic weapon propped up against the door, and I was afraid of these people. My roommate, he was an obnoxious drunk, and he wasn't all there, if you know what I mean. He was ready to go down the street with a baseball bat and take these people on. I thought he was stupid, but looking back at it, he might have been stupid, but in a way, he was more principled than me. I was trying to be practical, but he was saying this is wrong. Look what they did to that poor little old black lady. Let's go down there and burn the crack house down. I said, well, look, even if we do, the police are going to arrest us. And then the drug dealers are coming. Because I finally talked them out of it because I was in law school and I was like, you can't do this legally. It's legally okay to keep, a gun in your house to protect yourself. Although it actually isn't that good of an idea because you're afraid to use it. And if you do use it, you're in trouble. And say you get drunk or you get in a domestic quarrel, like I'm not saying I did, but I knew of this guy who got in a fight with his drunken roommate, and the drunken roommate hit him over the head with a broken bottle, and he bled all over everything, and he got mad, and he grabbed a 12 gauge Mossberg 590 and shot up the filing cabinets, and that could have resulted in guns are not a good unless you're really stable and you don't drink and you're responsible, you should not, especially things like pump action shotguns and semi-automatic rifles. I mean, there's a reason why they're strictly regulated. I'm all for the Constitution, but I think there got to be some rules. I really do, and it's not going to it's going to like fight tyranny. Trump is taking over. Is the Second Amendment stopping him? It's not. Nobody's Second Amending Donald Trump. So the whole Second Amendment argument goes right out the window right there because nobody's stopping Trump with their semi-automatic rifle. So bullshit on that. But anyways, back to the story. What was I trying to say? I was a coward. I was having people are afraid of me. A crazed guy with a semi-automatic. It was an AK actually, but it was semi-automatic. Was legal, sort of. It was about the time they banned them. So Anyways, crack was illegal, obviously, but I just said, you know what? Let's pretend nothing's going on. As long as they don't come down here and rape us or, break into our house and steal or sell crack like in front of our house. That was it. Because like any dope peddlers in front of the house, they knew. I shouldn't admit this, but I literally had a little 380 Brico. I went out, I looked at him, I took it out of my pocket and I held it. And he goes, "Is that a gun?" And I go, "Sell your fucking dope someplace else. Get the fuck out of here. I don't want you doing it here." And he says, "I'm going to call the police." And he says, "You're a drug dealer, motherfucker. You're selling fucking drugs in front of my house. Fuck off." And he didn't come back. But I mean, that's no way to run a society. In Singapore, if they catch you with drugs or guns, they hang you. And there's no problem with guns and there's no problems with drugs. Anyways, what were we talking about? Oh, yeah. Noam Chomsky. Noam Chomsky, not only did he wasn't these people that like pretended Jeffrey Epstein. Um, I know he's doing something weird. Like, what's his name? Prince Andrew? Didn't they arrest him? Who's the dude that they arrested? And I'm glad they did because it was for misconduct or something. He was like selling state secrets, or he did something in office he wasn't supposed to be doing with Jeffrey Epstein. It was in the Epstein files, not for like they're okay, I guess, with raping little girls, but he was representing the country in a trade mission, and he misrepresented the country. You'd think they'd arrest him for raping the 12-year-old girls, but evidently he misrepresented the trade delegate. I guess maybe they're just trying to get him for something. No, didn't like look the other way like a lot of people did. I mean, who knows what the Clintons were doing or what Trump was doing. It wasn't like Noam Chomsky was looking the other way. He knew he'd been convicted of sex crimes and he was giving him legal advice. Legal advice on how to get away with it. No, I am never going to wear my hair in that shaggy. I don't want to look like Noam Chomsky anymore. And I really liked him. He was such a bright guy. What happens to all these really bright people? Bill Gates, Clinton. I mean, here I'm at the end of my life. What is it with the soul of mankind? I thought it was just, because I thought, well, Bill, your cynical view of you lived in the ghetto next to the projects where they sold drugs. It was a violent world you lived in. The whole world's fucked up, I guess. I hate to say that. I'm such a unpleasant subject, and I guess this is what I'm talking about. I haven't been on for a while. Was I talking about the way I look? I don't want to look like Noam Chomsky anymore. I cut my hair short. Now I look like Bill Gates. Now you know who I look like? I look like that guy in Better Call Saul. Oh my God, I'm picking my nose. I'm so sorry. Alexa, who is the name of the police officer on Better Call Saul? You know, the one that did stuff for drug dealers. He was kind of a good guy, and then he went corrupt because he needed money.
The police officer you're referring to is Mike Ehrmantraut. He's a complex character who starts as a good guy but becomes involved in corruption due to financial needs. Would you like to know more about Mike Ehrmantraut's background in Better Call Saul?
Did he end up dead? That's all I need to know. Did they kill him?
Yes, Mike Ehrmantraut was killed by Walter White in Breaking Bad. He didn't die in Better Call Saul, as that series is a prequel set before those events.
So Walter White shot Mike Urban Trop?
Yes, Walter White shot Mike Ehrmantraut in Breaking Bad. It was a pivotal moment in the series, showing how far Walt had fallen.
Yeah, see, But anyways, I looked like he was a corrupt cop, but he was actually he was complex, right? He wasn't all bad. Alexa, what actor played Mark Urban that dude in Better Call Saul that was the cop?
Jonathan Banks played Mike Ehrmantraut.
All right, well, take a look. Don't you think I kind of look like Mike Urban? Kind of old, tough, grizzled kind of guy. I mean, obviously I'm not, but he's the kind of character. He's kind of like a Clint Eastwood. He was not a good person. He's obviously doing corrupt things, but he wasn't a bad person either. He cared about his daughter-in-law and his granddaughter. He did bad things for good reasons. Where Noam Chomsky was doing bad things for bad reasons. I mean, there's no salvaging Jeffrey Epstein or Harvey Weinstein. I don't know, Bill Clinton, Bill Gates. Maybe they were just one of these people that were looking the other way. But Noam was given advice on how to get away with it. Do you know what that's like to admire somebody and just to find out that they're the absolute scum of the earth? Now, Mike was a fictional character, but Mike was kind of the guy that I knew when I was in the life or whatever. You know, they were kind of caught in a bad situation, but they weren't completely deplorable people. So I can kind of identify with Mike Trump. He was a decent person who was flawed, who made bad choices or whatever, that somehow got himself in a compromised situation. But I think he's redeemable. I think he's the kind of person that goes to purgatory as opposed to hell. I'd like to think that's the kind of person I am. So that's like the character. I'm not. I was never a cop or anything, and I'm like not for police brutality or anything. But he seemed to be a a person with salvageable, with redeemable qualities who was in a bad situation. If you're a cop, you're doing a rough job, and sometimes you can get corrupt. He was like an ex-cop, and he'd fallen. He was a fallen person, but there was good in him. There's no good in someone like Noam Chomsky or Harvey. No, wait, what's his name? Harvey Wine. No, Jeffrey Epstein. The other ones, I don't know. What Donald Trump was doing with Jeffrey Epstein, I heard it was pretty bad. What were the Clintons up to? I don't think the Clintons are redeemable. Bill Gates, don't know what he was up to. I mean, his wife does not want to have anything to do with him, so there's some nefariousness there. There are redeemable people like this fictional guy, Mike Hermitage or whatever. I don't know. I don't have a really solid memory. I watched the whole series Breaking Bad. I watched part of Better Call Saul, and I knew he was a conflicted person. He was part good and part bad. But he wasn't all bad. There are people like that. I think that's maybe the kind of person I was. I'm the kind of person that if I would have seen somebody like Jeffrey Epstein, I probably would have taken a 38 and shot him in the testicles. Doesn't mean I'm a good person. It's just like there are some things that even bad people won't put up with. And if you're giving advice to someone that evil, I can't admire you. I just feel like someone's pulled my heart out. Here, Noam Chomsky, maybe he didn't have politics and economics down, but I thought he was basically a good person. It turns out it was all an act. And I'm wondering to myself, is there anybody that you can believe in? Who can you trust? Who is good? If you find out that here he was supposed to be anti-establishment, for the average common person, and he was hanging around with one of the richest billionaires doing this. It wasn't even a decent billionaire. Like if you're hanging around with Warren Buffett goes, yeah, I've got too much money. Even Bill Gates, as bad as he is, he's planning on giving his money away. Maybe he's trying to make up for the bad things he did. Maybe he's trying to redeem himself. I don't know. At least he's trying. That doesn't mean he needs to be forgiven, but I mean, in Christianity, at least, you can at least be forgiven if you repent. I don't know. I think the jury's still out on Bill Gates. Big, but I mean, people that don't even try, right up until the end, right until he was arrested and committed suicide. Noam Chomsky was right there with him. He's definitely not Mike Urbanton. He's not like he's doing it to help his family. Oh God, God forgive me. I haven't lived the best kind of life, but I'll tell you. I think my bad life was more like that guy in Better Call Saul, the dirty cop, the ex guy who was just caught in a really bad situation and felt conflicted, you know. And then there are people who have absolutely no soul at all, that have no feeling, no remorse, have no feeling of repentance, and they're fooling people like that guy, Ted Bundy. What kind of a psychopath was Noam Chomsky that he was giving advice to Jeffrey Epstein on how to get away with it? I think that might even, in a way, be worse than being a psychopath. It's like being the lawyer that helps the psychopath get away with shit. God, fuck. The world's so messed up. I think before I die, I've got to really. I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing anything bad, but I don't think I've done anything good either. But at least I'm not Jeffrey Epstein, and at least I'm not Noam Chomsky. God Almighty, if someone like that came to me, I'd say, you know what? It's time to turn yourself into the police, not give them advice on how to get away with it. Noam Chomsky, I'm so disappointed in you. I really, really had the utmost respect for the man and his intellect. Now I'm just, I guess he's old. He's had a stroke. He can't even talk. But he's got to deal with what comes next. He's got to deal with the hereafter. I mean, if there's no God, that's one thing. But I think I believe in as someone who's marginally Buddhist. I believe that karma will affect you and whatever. So I probably shouldn't do videos like this. But I mean, I'm just Mike Urbanton is a fictional character, and I would say that that's the kind of person. I shouldn't be picking my nose. That's redeemable. That I knew. I would not associate. If I'll tell you what though, even at my worst, I would never associate with someone like Jeffrey Epstein. That would, not, and I definitely wouldn't give him legal advice on how to get away with it. There are different levels of evil, and even I've never seen that, or if I have, I've walked away from it. It's just like even bad people have standards. I mean, that's unspeakably evil. I mean, it's like my. I mean, I feel bad enough that I wasn't willing to do anything about the crack house. And I think about it. My roommate wasn't the greatest person, and he was a little bit nuts, but he was ready to go out there and risk his life with a baseball bat and take on all the drug dealers. That's because he's crazy. He would have ended up dead. I guess the neighborhood's gentrified. So I says, you know what? And that was my argument. That was right, actually. This neighborhood's being gentrified. Eventually, they'll get around to getting rid of it. There's no sense in you risking your life. Be patient. But still, that was I was willing to look the other way. I guess the moral of the story is you can call people crazy, but I mean, I guess they're the people that make the difference. Jeffrey Epstein would still be out there if someone crazy didn't say, "All right, you know what? I'm willing to throw myself on the hand grenade here. We got to do something about this son of a bitch." Noam Chomsky, you give him advice on how to get away with it? I will never ever quote you again.